Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from Moscow, from Sputnik News Agency and Radio. My name is Asia Samoilova, and I represent International Cooperation Department. And next to me is my colleague, Ekaterina Volkova, award-winning journalist and our top expert on everything connected with photos. We are very happy to welcome today our participants and, of course, our esteemed co-organizer, Yuna Oik. This is our fifth meeting, and we are really excited about that. And I'd like to give a word to start our session to the Director General of Yuna, Mr. Mohammed Aliami. Mr. Mohammed, I'm giving you the floor.
Thank you, Asia. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أصحاب السادة الحضور الكرام، الزملاء والأخوة في قطاع الإعلام، يسعدنا أن نرحب بكم في ورشة العمل المتخصصة حول الإعلام المصور والريبورتاج، والتي ينظمها اتحاد وكالات أنباء دول منظمة التعاون الإسلامي بالتعاون مع وكالة أنباء سبوتنيك، حرصا على تزويدكم بأحدث المهارات في هذا الجانب الحيوي وتعزيزا لقدرات الإعلاميين في الدول الأعضاء. تأتي هذه الورشة بتمكين المشاركين من التعرف على أفضل الممارسات في مجال الإعلام والمرئي والروبورتاج، واستعراض العناصر المهمة لصناعة محتوى إخباري مؤثر، إلى جانب تصويب الأخطاء الشائعة وتبادل الخبرات لرفع مستوى الأداء المهني. نثمن في هذا الإطار التعاون المثمر مع وكالة سبوتنيك، والتي ستثري الجلسات بخبراتها العالمية سعيا نحو إعلام أكثر مهنية وتأثيرا. ختاما، أتمنى لكم ورشة عمل مثمرة تحقق من خلال الأهداف المرجوة وتسهم في تطوير أدائنا الإعلامي المشترك. والله ولي التوفيق. ملاحظة للتأكيد فقط أنه الورشة مترجمة إلى 3 لغات، العربي والفرنسي والإنجليزي. شكرا لكم.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aliami, for your kind words. And this collaboration is a great value for us as well. And we are very delighted to see it flourishing in different aspects. After the signing of the MOU between our media outlets in 2021, we are fully committed to practical steps in making it effective and practical. And we are pleased that it's working well. So today we're going to discuss quite an important topic: photo reportage for media, learning photography techniques, key elements and common mistakes. And I'm presenting you the star of our today's session. She's next to me, the great expert of our agency, and Miss Ekaterina Volkova. She's also teaching photography in numerous Russian universities. And before we start, I have a couple of technical things to tell you, dear participants. First of all, we have translation today to French and Arabic, and you can choose the necessary language in Zoom. And the second thing, we want to make this session together with our partner not a monologue, but a dialogue. So please ask your questions. You will have 2 options, to ask a question in voice after the session, or to ask the questions in the Q&A box, which is up front in Zoom throughout the session. We are waiting for your questions, and we are sure that those questions will be just perfect. So, Ekaterina, I'm giving you the floor.
Thank you, Ася. Hello, dear participants, dear colleagues. I'm honored to be here with you today and to share our experience of our work in the agency and my personal experience as a photo editor who has been working with photography for more than 15 years. I think that our topic is really important because as we live in the informational society, in the digital era, every day brings us new questions that we need to work with. Life changes very quickly, and the speed of life becomes more and more fast. And we every day we have some new approaches, some new questions. Each lecture I have some questions about artificial intellect, about narrow pictures, narrow images. So we need to decide how to work, how to participate in this digital era every day. And I think that right now in this informational society, the image and photography plays more and more important role. As the information spreads very quickly, we also need to operate very quickly. And especially when we are speaking about journalism, about photojournalism, and about work of photographers. I'm sure that the classical work of a photojournalist, of a live person who makes pictures in such a classical way, can't be replaced by some narrow pictures or artificial intellect and so on. I'm sure that our work, your work, because we are all colleagues as we work with photography. The value of our work of professional photography becomes more and more higher, and it doesn't matter what changes we face every day. I'm sure that photojournalism will remain alive, and we can't replace it by pictures that are created in the computers and so on. And I'm speaking about, of course, professional information, professional photography, because right now in the informational society, we very often we see that the role of so-called UGC, user-generated content, becomes more and more high. But still, the difference between professional content, professional photography, and non-professional is great. And today I will be showing you pictures made by professional photographers of our agency, and I will be speaking about it. So when we speak about journalism, about media, we speak about photography as well, because it doesn't matter where we work, in the information agencies or in the photo agencies, in the online media or in the printed media as newspapers and magazines, still we speak about photojournalism and about photo reportage. So photo reportage is normally our main product if we work as photojournalists. Every day we work with dozens and hundreds of topics, issues. Sometimes our assignments are more interesting. Sometimes they are more boring, but still we all photographers. We create, I would say, the visual history of the human civilization. And it depends on us how this visual history will look like. That's why I think that photojournalism is absolutely amazing world, and each country photographer in each media does some part of the work that in general combines our huge photography visual history. What is a reportage? A photo reportage is basically a short story about an event or a hero. So it's a daily coverage of everyday news and everyday events. The aim is always the same. The aim is to bring this or that story to the audience, to tell them about what's going on in the world, in your city, in your town, or anywhere else. The photo reportage always answers to the three questions: who, where, and when. I would say that shooting photo reportage or working as a photojournalist is telling stories using the language of photography, using the visual language. The photography really can speak louder than words, because very often we need 100 words to describe a situation, but there is enough one picture to show how the situation looks like. Reportage photography has one important feature that makes it difficult, I would say. We always have to use the conditions that are available, and we can't change these conditions. We need to create a dynamic and interesting picture for the viewer in these conditions. And the task of a photojournalist is to notice an interesting frame in time or action, and to do a picture in these conditions. So, for example, if today it snows heavily in Moscow, and if we have an assignment to do pictures outside, we can't change the weather conditions. We can't stop the snow. We can't make the light, for example, better. We just need to operate with what we have. And this makes our work difficult. Because if we work as a commercial photographer in the studio and we do some portrait pictures, we can choose our conditions, the light, time of our shooting, and so on. But a photojournalist always works in this situation that we have. What we begin with, of course, before we do a picture or a story, we get ready for a photo shoot. Maybe it sounds a little bit silly, but it's really very important to prepare for our shooting before. And the better we prepare, the better our results will be. So first of all, it's really important to prepare our equipment, especially if you have an assignment when you need to travel somewhere, to some faraway places maybe. So we need to check our equipment, to charge it, and to check the completeness of it. All the memory cards, all the batteries, all the optics you need to have with you. The better you are prepared before, the better your pictures will be, because you will not need to think about these details when you are on assignment. You will need just to think about the pictures and the situation. So a very good and important rule is not to put experiments during shooting. Because especially when you have some important assignment, you can do it, for example, on your free time or on the events that are not important. But if you have some breaking news, if you have some important actions or events, you just need to do good pictures and not to try something new, or maybe some new optics, some new cameras. It's always better to work with the techniques, with the camera or optics that you know better, that you are already got acquainted with it.
Donc, l'essentiel, c'est
Before
d'avoir
we
des
go
équipements
on
auxquels
assignment,
vous êtes déjà
we
vous êtes
usually
familier et vous
receive it.
maîtrisez
We receive
leurs
some
utilisations.
task and some information about this event and this place that you need to take pictures. And the more information you receive before, the better. Because
Plus
if you have the
d'informations,
full information about
l'expérience
the main
vécue
speakers,
ultérieurement
the
est
main
très importante dans
heroes,
ce sens.
the place where the event goes on,
Mais
the
il faut
better
encore
you are
avoir des
informed,
idées, des informations sur
is
le
the better for your
lieu, la
work.
place dans laquelle
That's
l'événement aura
why
lieu.
I think that we don't need to hesitate and to
Faut pas penser à
it's always
l'hésitation, faut
better
pas
to
hésiter.
ask questions to your editors or to journalists
Faut
or
jamais
to
hésiter à
people who
poser des
give us
questions
the assignments,
aux éditeurs,
because
aux
on this
directeurs de.
information depends the quality of our work. And
Ceci
one
donc
more
va se
additional thing,
répercuter sur
that it's
la
always
qualité de notre
better
travail.
to minimize shooting with flash. It's always better to operate with natural
Donc, il
flash,
faut
with
faire le
natural
maximum
light.
possible de
I
photos
will be speaking
sans flash.
about it a little bit
Pas-
later. So what are the keynotes when we work with photo
Quelles sont
reportage
donc
and when we
les
need
notes
to shoot it?
principales, fondamentales?
The main thing
La
is
plus
the
importante chose,
visual diversity. I will show
il
you
y a donc la
pictures
diversité visuelle.
later, and you will understand what I mean, what I'm
Je vais
speaking
vous expliquer
about.
ça un peu.
The visual diversity means
La diversité
that
visuelle,
our pictures should be visually different. So we need to have in our reportage
dans
some
notre
general
reportage,
plans that show us this place where it
c'est le plan
happens.
de la prise va nous
Some
montrer
medium
le
plans,
lieu,
some close-ups, portraits of our heroes, portraits of our speakers, and
donc
some
il y a
details
le
that
portrait
tell us
de
some
ceux qui
more additional
interviennent,
information. Because when
des
you
personnes,
see
des
a
interlocuteurs,
pack of pictures that are made just using one lens and only general plans, it is really boring to
le fait d'avoir
take a
la même
look at
vie dans
such a
toutes les
reportage.
photos, dans toutes les
And
prises de vie, c'est un peu
it's not
fastidieux, c'est un
interesting
peu.
to illustrate some
Il
news,
faut
for
donc
example,
qu'il y ait
with
une
it. We
diversité
need
de
our
visuels.
reportage to be visually different. We also need to show some different plots, some different situations. And when we will take a look at the pictures, you will also understand what I'm speaking about. Because every situation, every event, and every action that we take pictures of, it goes on. Something changes, the situation changes, and we need to show these changes, but not only the same, for example, 10 pictures of the same people. It's really boring, and we don't need so much. Of course, we need in our reportage to show the location where this event takes place. Maybe it's Moscow covered with snow, or maybe it's, for example, India, where it's hot and sunny and nature is so vivid and bright. So we need, because our readers will they need to understand this, how it looks like, what is the location, what are the conditions there. And when we are speaking about photo reportage, we usually say that we show and we tell our readers and subscribers, our viewers, about what's going on. They are all people and we are people, and journalism and photojournalism too is telling stories about people to the people. That's why we need to have people on the pictures.
De personnes qui sont
Here,
véhiculées
for
à d'autres
example, in the
personnes.
agency, it's our professional standard. When we shoot reportage, we need to have persons mainly in each picture of our shooting, because if we show just empty streets, empty places, it's strange, yes. And here appears the question, what's going on? Why life stops here? Why no one is on the picture? We also need to remember it. And of course, shooting reportage is often shooting people. And when we speak about taking pictures of people, we are speaking about portraits. When we shoot portraits, we need to keep in our mind a couple of positions, emotions of person, some composition elements of the pictures, how we take pictures of people when they speak, for example. And very often, a question that is often asked, how many pictures can we prepare in the reportage? Normally, when we publish photo reportage in the news agency, we need to have minimum 10 or 15 pictures. And it depends on the situation, on the news, how many pictures we can add more. Because sometimes if the situation and the place is unique, and for example, our photographer is the only one who received access there, of course, we will publish more pictures. If we are speaking about daily life shootings, like some reportage about daily life events, we will have 10 or 20 pictures normally. But when the photographer prepares his photo shooting to send it to the editors, to his media, of course, you need to prepare more, because you need to remember that not all of your pictures may be chosen by the editors. Sometimes they see that there are some technical problems. Sometimes the pictures are similar and they will not choose them. So it's better to do an edit, as we call it, of about, for example, 30, 40 pictures. It will be your selection. And from this selection, the photo editors or the editors who work in your media usually choose what they will publish. So very often, usually, they choose less people than their photographer sent to them. But it really is normal, because the work of a photo editor is about choosing pictures, and they understand perfectly what pictures are important here, what they need to choose, and where they need to point the attention. And after we already have done pictures, we need to think about captions to the pictures. And I will speak about captions as well. Now I want to show you an example of a photo reportage made by our staff photographer Alexander Kryazhev. It's a photo reportage made in the Siberia, in the Republic of Tuva. It's a region located far from Moscow in the Siberia. It's very difficult to receive access there. It's very far. It's placed in the mountains. So Alexander went there to take pictures of the Lunar New Year celebration. He took pictures of shepherds who live in the mountains and how their life looks like. It's very difficult to receive access there, and very few photographers go there. So it's a screenshot from our website. We see that totally we have 53 pictures in the reportage. It's a lot, but we don't have a chance to get there very often. That's why we need to work with this material and to choose as more as we can. So the photographer arrives there, and what does he shoot? What we see on the pictures? We are speaking about photo reportage, so that's why we just take pictures of what's really going on. We can't manipulate with the reality. We can't choose anything, and we don't ask our heroes to pose, so we don't do some staging. We just shoot how life goes on, and we see how life goes on in this small mountain village. They live. The shepherds are working with the animals. This is how the locals prepare for the New Year celebrations. They live in such yurts. They are dressed in the traditional holiday clothes. And here we see that the photographer
des tenues
goes
vestimentaires qui sont utilisées lors de ce
to building
festival.
where they live, and he shows us their
Et donc ici,
traditional
il nous
dinner.
montre
They prepare
comment
some traditional Tuvinian dishes. They cook, and it really is interesting to see how people live. Yes, because we have so many countries and nations in the world, and they have some different customs and traditions, and it's one of the most interesting topic for photographers to work with. And here we see such a beautiful portrait of the girl made through a frozen winter. I have mentioned that we need to show different situations, and we need to have visually different pictures. Here we have some middle plans, we have some general plans, we see some portraits here, some pictures that show us how this place looks like. So such a landscape with these houses, with mountains, because it's interesting. We need to show this place as detailed as the photographer can do. And these are moments with animals that illustrate, that show us the shepherd's work, a beautiful landscape with so much snow and so many mountains. Another portrait, we see a middle plan. All the pictures are different, and when we see it, we don't get bored. We want to see more because he works with the light. So we see that here the photographer spent some time with his heroes there in this place, because we see the different light, we see the evening, the middle of the day, and people do some different actions. So it really is a reportage about life in this mountain village in Siberia. It's an interesting issue. It's an interesting assignment. It really takes a lot of time to prepare for it, but here all the photographers like such issues, but very often we have to work with more routine topics that are also very important for journalism. For example, agriculture is a very important state part of economics in every country, I think, and in Russia as well. Every year we take pictures how they about some farmers, about some factories and plants that produce food. But we need to do it totally different. All shootings should be different from each other. And for example, this topic is rice growing in the south of Russia. So it's an ordinary daily life reportage. Every year we have such assignments, but every year photographers choose to create something new. Here, so we have a visual narrative telling us what's happening, how these farmers work, and how it looks like. The photographer here uses drone to make pictures more visually interesting. For example, here we see this picture made by drone, a field, and this agriculture machine that works there. Another picture. This assignment is difficult because when you have such rice collecting, it's just a field, some agriculture machines, cars. We don't see a lot of different actions here, and we don't see a lot of people in this field, so some heroes. That's why we need to create some topics to make our reportage visually rich and not similar to each other. That's why the photographer uses drone to make some different pictures. I think this one is absolutely amazing. A very simple issue, but it looks very clear and gentle, so we can even use this picture in the exhibitions, for example. Here he has a picture of a machine that works there, some closer plan. We also need it. We need to show how they work there. For example, this is rice that they collect. Some close-ups of the fields where it grown. Some farmers who also work in these fields. Another picture from the drone, but we see that it's totally different from all the previous ones. Some close-ups of the rice that is already collected. And the final picture of this reportage is a picture made in the rice factory. It shows us rice collected in the boxes, how we will later see it in the supermarkets. So we see such a short story, short narrative, a visual narrative describing us how the farmers grow rice, how they collect them, and how they prepare it to sell in the supermarkets. So such a simple issue, such a short story, but we have enough pictures, and when we see it, we understand how it works and how it looks like. Right now, I want to speak more about this daily life routine shootings, and I want to point your attention to some mistakes, to some problems that we often have during our work. I have mentioned about a person in the picture, and I want to show you pictures describing this situation. These are pictures made by some photographers from the Izvestia newspaper, one of the Russian biggest newspapers. It's a press event organized by one of the new car factories in Russia. So they opened the car production, and they invited photographers to show it. New factories, new cars, and so on. So here we see a picture of a factory and parts of the car. But we see that there is nobody on the picture. And as the photo editor, I will never choose this picture for our reportage. Why? Because what's happening on the picture? what this picture tells us. It seems like it tells us something about an abandoned factory that doesn't work, no humans on the picture, no life, and that's why we don't need these pictures in our reportage. If we see such a situation, we even do not need to take these pictures. The same factory, it's a Chinese factory in Russia, a huge one, such a big building, but there is no one on the picture, and we also do not need it. What we can do in this situation? We need to wait, and we need to find places and workers who work there. Sometimes we just need to wait for a few seconds when someone arrives and begin to do some operations. If this event is organized, for example, by press service, it's normally to tell the press officer that we need to see some action. Could you please invite us to another place, another location where they do something? Very often, the organizers understand our approach, and it's not a problem to do such pictures, for example, as we see here, because here we see a factory worker that takes somewhere a car detail. So it's a good one. They see that life goes on, this factory works, and the same about this picture. When the factory workers do some operations, and we see a lot of people here, the picture is made in a proper way, in a reportage way. So here we also see it's a good location because we see a car here, but we don't see people. We want someone to appear in the middle of the picture, I think. Here, the same place, the same location, the same car, but the photographer does a closer plan, and we see people on the picture. We see that they work, that they do something, the cars are produced. So that's why we need people to appear on our pictures. When we speak about people, we speak about portraits. It's not easy to take pictures of people because everyone has his some gestures that he uses, his face changes during speech, for example, and we need to think about it. But we also need to think about how we compose pictures, about the composition, and about the light, because the light in the photography is very important. The photography is made with the light. And if we understand the nature of the light, we can do people that will look beautiful. For example, this is a portrait of Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, made in one of the public events. So he speaks, it was made during his speech. A lot of journalists work in this event, and they see that the background is quite difficult because we see some images of the buildings, some people. But when we do portraits, we need to have such a clear picture. We don't need to have some additional unnecessary details. For example, he has a microphone in his head, and we don't need this microphone to be placed near his mouth, because we don't want the picture to look like he eats this microphone. It's a common mistake. We often have some pictures. But when we do pictures of people speaking with microphone, we need to choose a moment, a second, where our speaker has it somewhere not close to his mouth. Here we see that the photographer does picture in a proper moment, and he also places this speaker in a very proper place. we have a central composition here, and the speaker is placed between two bright images. He is placed on the monochrome background. We have no additional details around him, and he has his hand is in such a gest that he uses very often. So we can have this picture published in our everyday news, and we can use it in our further publications about Moscow mayor. But we need just to think, and we need sometimes to wait. It's very important to be able to wait. When, for example, the speaker will close his mouth, because usually the people look better with the mouth closed. For example, when he listens to the question and he doesn't speak. Another example of the same kind, Russia Prime Minister, during his speech on some public events, some transport week, a business forum organized in Moscow. So the photographer also places the speaker on the monochrome black background. And we see that all the labels of the transport week are placed around him in a very clear and proper way. And by the way, take a look at his hands. They are also placed in a proper way. He has some interesting gest on the one hand, and the other is placed very properly too. So is it difficult to do such pictures? I think no. If you understand what you want to show and what kind of picture you need to receive. So when we are speaking about photography, it's a very good quality to think before you do a picture. And after you create this picture in your brain, you can do it technically only using your camera. Another example of portraits made during public events, a picture of Russian President Vladimir Putin made during presidential election campaign, a public speech made by a photographer of the Kremlin pool. These events are difficult because not a lot of happens during these events. We have only our speakers who speak, who stand on the one place, and all the journalists, all the photographers also stand on the one photo position, and they can't change it. When you have such conditions, it's not easy to do visually different pictures and not to do a similar shooting, boring shooting. That's why here we have a middle plan of the president. During his speech, we see he's also placed in a very proper way on the clear background, and we even have such a good and right position of the head of the speaker, of his hand. Second picture is done from the same photo position some moments later from the same speech. But what the photographer does, he takes a more general plan and he puts the images, the figures of the cameraman on the picture, and he places the main speaker, the president, between them. He does a picture with a central composition. But here we have some more additional details. These journalists, we see their cameras and we see how they also how they take video of this event. It's a good way to do pictures through some other persons, through some other pictures, when we put some additional details in our picture. So we have a new picture, a new plan, more middle plan. We also, with this picture, tell our audience that this event is important, that there are a lot of cameras, that this is a top news event, and it will be on news. You can, using this idea, you can do pictures everywhere. And it doesn't matter if you do pictures, for example, of the president events, or if you need to do a reportage about, for example, an art exhibition opens in your in the museum. We can add new details, new heroes, and we don't need to see even the faces of this cameraman. We just need to have some feeling of the people on the picture. Composition is also important as well, because if you work with composition and you have some interesting ideas how to put people on the pictures, your pictures become better, even boring ones. For example, here, a daily life shooting of the train depot. Here, red trains and a worker dressed in a red dress. His figure here has some line on visually, and this picture becomes better if we combine, if we don't have him here. A daily life Moscow shootings in the center of Moscow, but take a look of the figures of the passers-by, how they are placed. The photographer doesn't ask them to stand here. He just spends some time there and takes a look at the moments and the people. If we don't have anybody on the picture, it will be really boring. We will just have a picture of the castle. But here we have a lot of people dressed in the different colors, placed in the different places. And all in all, in general, the picture becomes more interesting. We have something to look at. So the same is here, New Year decorations in Moscow, red decorations, and a woman in the red dress, in the red on the front, and she even has a red lipstick here on her lips, and this figure makes this picture more interesting and not empty. The light. The light, it's is very important. It's not easy to work with it. I very often advise not to use flash in the camera, because when we use flash, especially in the dark conditions, we don't make our pictures better. Sometimes we do it only worse. It's really important to understand the nature of the light. When you work in the public events, in the press events, or together with the cameraman, for example, they often use their TV light for the TV cameras. And if you understand how to work with it, you can do good portraits using these camera lights. For example, here, some TV channels do interview with this woman, and the photographer here at the same moment does a portrait of her, and it's made in a good way. We can use it. But natural life is always the better. So, for example, here we have a picture made for the interview for the newspaper, and the photographer places his hero in such a way that light from the window lights her face. He doesn't need to use flash here, because her face is lighted in a very proper way. Natural life is, we can also use it when we shoot outdoors. For example, some public event outdoors, a lot of sun there, and we see that here the sun lights the face of our main speaker, so it's what we need. All the others, we don't need them. And one more important thing that I want to speak today is the difference between photo reportage and photo story. I have mentioned that as journalists, we work with photo reportage, but we also have such a product as photo story. They are not similar to each other. It's a mistake to think that each photo reportage, we can call it a photo story. No, it's not correct to say it, because the main difference is that photo story answers to one more additional question, a question how. So who, where, when, and how. If we translate it to normal language, we can say that a photo reportage is a short narrative about what's going on at the exact place and time. So we have some unity of time, place, and action. And the photo story gives us more details, and it can take place in a longer time. And we can work with it for a longer period. What's the difference? So here I will show you first some screenshots from the reportages made about Russian sportsman Fyodor Yemelyanenko. It's a screenshot of the fight. These pictures were taken by one of the Russian photo agencies. So here we see a photo reportage. We see these sportsmen, how they, some actions. We see press conference after it. So it looks like a classical photo reportage. People, our main speakers, their portraits, some close plans. So we need to tell our audience about this fight, about about where it took place, how it's going on. And here we see a photo story made about these sportsmen, but it was made by Russian photographer Alexander Taran. It's called The Last Emperor because he's a world champion. He's a award-winning sportsman. It's an edit of the story that was published in one of the Japanese magazines. So the first picture also shows us this sportsman, this hero, in the boxing ring. And here we also see some pictures showing us some moments of the fights where he participates as a sportsman. But later we see we see pictures made in the other places. We see this sportsman with his wife attending Orthodox church. We see some moments of his workout, how he trains in the gym. We see here this man together with his wife and child in his flat, in his house. We see them together, and we even see some moments of his resting time, some pictures made in the Russian banya, in the sauna, and he together with his friend near, I think, in his country house. And some pictures showing us the location from on the left, a city where he lives, his house where he lives, and some moments from the workout, from the gym where he trains. And the last picture of the story shows us some public events where he participates as a world champion. So I think that the difference is really clear. Photo reportage shows us only one aspect of his life, only one event, and he tells us only about it. But a photo story tells us more. It tells us more about this person, how he lives, what's important for him, his family, religion, how he spends free time. So using photo story, we can tell more about our heroes, but it's also more difficult to work with photo stories. And first of all, it takes more time. I think I have some minutes, and I want to show you another story made by photographer of our Sputnik agency, Alexei Malgavko, Siberia. daily life of a village policeman. So the hero of our story is a policeman who lives in a small village far away from Moscow and the Siberia. And the photographer spends time with his hero and shows us how he lives, how he works, how life goes on in this village, in this far away place. He doesn't stage anything. He just spends some time with this man, with this policeman. And here we see how his normal working day goes on. I think, absolutely a wonderful picture. I like this portrait, and it's a good idea for taking portraits, because we see here the eyes of our hero. We see it in the mirror of the car, and we also see a background. It's late autumn, it rains heavily, and the works in the countryside are awful as usual. And he's in his car, goes to some faraway village, I think. So we also see the car here in this road, the pools after the rain. I like these pictures a lot, because if we tell a story, if we shoot a story about a hero, we don't need to have a portrait of this person in each picture. Such pictures are also very important, because they tell us a lot about this place, this location. They show us, because he lives in the society, he lives in some place, and it's interesting to show our viewers how this place looks like. This is a reportage moment of this, for example, how this policeman invites and discusses some issues with the locals. Another picture made in the end of the day with his car. A very beautiful landscape. A landscape on the sunset. It shows us the frozen field, some country houses on the background. I like it a lot. It's made in a very gentle way, and I think it really is beautiful. But it's really easy to do such a picture. That we don't stage anything. We don't need to create some situations. It's just that the photographer is interested in this place, in his hero, and he wants to tell us as more about this place as he can, and he does his best. Another reportage moment made in this police station. It looks very typical. All the police station in the countryside in Russia looks the same way. We see colleagues of our hero. We see outside how it looks like. Some moments from his daily life, meetings with local persons who live there and who need to ask him something. Another picture showing us that we are speaking about countryside. Yeah, some country houses, some old cars, and I think this picture is also important in this story, because we don't see the face of our hero, and we even don't need to, because the more important about it is that we see and we feel the conditions where he lives, and we feel how he's connected with this place, with this village, this nature around him. These pictures are very important. So we need to have some portraits of our heroes. We need to show their conditions and their relations with the other people, but we also need to have some images that tell us emotionally about how life is going on there. an important part of his life and important part of life of everyone, I think, his family. We see the family, the wife and children of our hero at home, and he also has his policeman uniform in his hands. It's also a good idea when we need to tell where our people work. Yeah, he has his uniform and we understand it. And here we see that our hero, he is dressed in a special uniform. He is interviewed by press in some press event, some public event. Why? Because he receives some medals for his good work. And it's the last part of the story. And the photographer tells us a lot, I think, about this person. He shows us where he lives, where he works, what's important for him, and he shows us with these pictures that even though he works just as an ordinary policeman in the small village, his work is important, and he works and he does it in a proper way. That's why he receives some medals and awards from the authorities. What happens when we already did the pictures?
عندما نقوم بانتقاء
we and I have also mentioned that as we work as a photojournalist, we can't manipulate with pictures. So of course we can crop something and we can correct, for example, do some light color correction, because sometimes we have some problems with the light balance and so on. But we can't put away with the Photoshop, for example, some details from the picture, and we can't add anything because we can't manipulate with their reality. We need to work only with facts. So, for example, this is a picture just made in the Altai Mountains. It's a picture from the camera, and we don't need even to crop it because a lot of space around us shows us how small a person is and how huge is the world and nature around it. When we prepare pictures for the release, we need to prepare the captions. When we work with captions, we first of all need to work with it very accurately. We need to check everything. As journalists, we need to prepare the correct information, full names, positions. We need to check anything. And our captions should tell us who, what, where, and when. So we need to describe the situation on the picture, and we don't need to describe our opinion, for example. We just need to tell what's going on. And when we have few people on the picture, we need to show us, our readers, where these people are placed. So here we use such words. For example, here we see some political persons, a lot of people on the one picture. And when we write caption, we will use the words, for example, from left to right or from right to left, to show where the person that we need stands. So we need to work with captions very correctly, very properly, and to check everything. When we work, so this is about working with pictures as a photographer, but when we work with pictures as an editor, we often have a question where we can get pictures. Very wonderfully, if you have your own photographers and they do shootings for you. If you don't have, we usually work with photo stocks. We sometimes work with social networks, but we need to understand and we need to remember that each picture has the author, and we need to we need to remember about it and to mention the authors of our images. And when we illustrate the news, we often have the question how to choose picture. Our picture should be connected with the text. It should tell us something about our main use, and this connection should be readers should be able to understand it. So that's why it's very often to understand our pictures should support our text. And the last thing about photo reportage and about working as photo editors is photo contests. It's a good way of self-promotion, and it doesn't matter if you work in a huge information agency or in a small town newspaper. You do pictures, you often do good pictures and good reportage, and it's a good way of self-promotion to participate in the photo contests. There are some world-known photo contests as World Press Photo, Sony World Photography World Picture of the Year, HIPA, and so on. We don't need to hesitate to participate because your pictures should be seen, and the more people will see it, the better. Our agency organizes the international, the Andrei International Press Photo Contests for young photographers, and when we open the submissions in December, we usually announce it and suggest photographers from all over the world to participate in it. It's a good way to show your works and to tell the world about your work. So I'm finishing my speech. Thank you so much for participating, for being here with us today. And maybe we have some questions, yes?
Yeah, we do have some questions and comments. Dear colleagues, dear participants, those who want to ask a question in voice, please raise the hand and we will give you the floor. But let's start from the impressions. So we have some feedback, and for example, our colleague from AIP News Agency says that she has noticed that sometimes journalists don't pay much attention to photos. In the newsrooms, not so much attention is paid to the photos as it should be, first of all. Then secondly, our colleagues write that there are things that we overlook when taking a photograph. There were things that we overlook, and the workshop is excellent. People also say that this information that we discussed today is super important. But before we wait for the people to raise a hand to ask a question, I'd like to ask my question to you. Is there, what do you think? Is there a place for photo stories, for photo reportage in the world, which is, well, mad about AI?
Thank you. Yes, I'm sure. And I'm sure that there is a place and there will be a place for photo stories, for photo reportages made by humans. And the value of this visual information will increase. Because right now all people are mad about AI, and I even have heard some ideas that in future we will do photo reportages with AI, but I think that when we do pictures, we do it not only with the camera, but we do it with the heart of a person who does it. And each photographer, each person has his own view on the situation. And their professional photography, the value of it is high, because when we see pictures made by our top photojournalists, we see not only the fact of this event, but we see the expressions of feels and emotions. But AI has no emotions, and that's why I think that we will have a lot of work even in the future.
I see that the hand of Mr. Ahmad Al-Stif is raised, so please feel free to ask your question. Mr. Ahmad Al-Stif, please unmute yourself if you have the question. Okay, maybe that was accidentally. So let me ask one more question. How high is the request for photo stories in media in Russia? Is it high?
Frankly speaking, I can't say that their request is really high, because usually photo stories need to be published somewhere, and usually before, in the past, we had a lot of magazines and newspapers where we published it in print. But right now we don't have a lot of them, but still photo stories are interesting for readers, because they tell us a lot, and they give us opportunity to show a more detailed panorama of life and of these events. The photographers also like to work with photo stories, but this work needs more time and more human resources and more financial resources. But even in our agency, even in our news agency, even though we work with this, with news, with hot news, and the speed of information spreading is very high, we sometimes do and publish some photo stories in our agency website, in the Sputnik websites, and it's always an interesting case, an interesting topic to work with as a photographer and a photo editor as well.
So we have a question from Tunisia. I don't know if you will be able to answer, because it's more about videos, but let's try. So the question is the following. In your opinion, when we work on video reports, is it possible to put background music behind the viewer, to put the viewer in the frame, or we should adopt the natural and real sound of the viewer? What is better, in your opinion?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, it's definitely not close to my work, because here in the photo department, we don't work with the video, but still, in my opinion, it's better to use the natural sounds, the sounds of the background, than to put music there.
Thank you so much. And if we connect this topic of the background music with photos, to what extent do you To what extent do you make the photos better? I mean, when you got raw files and then you start getting them better, adjusting them. Do you do that?
Thank you. A good question, and I think it's important to mention it that when we speak about photojournalism, when we speak of the work of our photographers who work in the Sputnik agency, we always speak about JPEG pictures. And I know that some other information agencies who have huge photo departments, they also ask their photographers to send JPEGs to the editors, because as I have mentioned, we don't manipulate with the pictures. We can't adjust details, or we can't add details to the pictures made for the reportages. And when we work with raw files, we have a lot of opportunities to manipulate. We have in our department, in our photo department, we have some standards of the post-production of the images. So as I have mentioned, we can crop the pictures. For example, if we need to have some closer plan, we need to crop the background. We can make a picture more lighter, for example, if there was not enough light, and but we can't do a lot with pictures. And normally our photographers and all the colleagues from the other Russian media, some newspapers and agencies, they send the files from the camera to the editors, and they don't do any post-productions with pictures. They send files from the camera, and then they do it very quickly, because we here in the Sputnik agency, we also have a very clear standards of the picture sendings. So normally when we are shooting some breaking news, some top events, the photographers need to send pictures very, very quickly. And according to our standard, during 19 seconds, the picture should be shot, should be transferred to the photo editor, and should be published in our media bank. So it's 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's very, very quickly. So when we have such speed of publishing pictures, we don't have even some time to, for example, to do post-production, because the speed of information spreading is very high in the world, especially when we are shooting top news event. And as we work in the news agency, we very often work with such top news, some breaking news events.
Thank you so much. So, okay, let's try once again. Mr. Ahmad Al-Steve, please ask your question. I see your hand raised. Okay, maybe that was accidentally. So we don't have other questions. Oh no, we do have some. Just a second. So you spoke about editing photos, and the question is the following. Does editing of photos affect the credibility or change the reality of the event, in your opinion?
Thank you. I think a very good and a very important question, because it's about the nature of photojournalism. I've been working in our agency for more than 11 years, and maybe that's why I've been working with news photography, with reportage, and that's why I think that editing and post-production, of course, changes their reality, changes the situation. And in my opinion, if we are speaking about news photography, we should try to avoid post-production, because our main goal as photojournalists is to tell our audience about real life, about real facts and real events. And it's always better to do such a picture, to try to do such a picture that we can publish without any post-production, because our audience trusts us as photojournalists, as photographers. And if we try to make our pictures some better, brighter, to put some new details on it, we are not, how can they trust us? I think that it's normally when we speak about news, when we speak about reportage, it's normal and it's good when we try to show live how it goes on, how it's in reality looks like, and to publish it. And our audience should be able to trust us, should trust our information, because the question of fake information, fake news, of some IE pictures is very, very often discussed right now. I think that we all float in the ocean of information, and there is a lot of fake information, some not proper information. It's difficult to choose, to understand what is fake and what is reality. And if we work in the news agencies, in the media, if we work as journalists, I think we need to stay those whom our audience should be able to trust.
Thank you so much. We're getting questions. Yeah. So the question, we also have it from Tunisia. Is the profession of traditional photography threatened with extinction in the face of the emergence of video and multimedia photographers? And can videography replace traditional camera? Can replace the photographer?
Thank you. Well, of course, video is very popular in the internet, and we have a lot of such new short forms like reels, shorts, and so on. But I'm sure that the profession of photographer will still exist in future, and because video is totally different from the picture. The nature of video is absolutely different, because taking picture is about preserving a moment, some in the not in the motion but on the image, and it's impossible to replace totally, for example, the photography by multimedia or by video. So in my opinion, these forms, these media will continue to develop and to live. There is You know, there is an audience for all the formats, for video and for pictures and for multimedia. That's why I think we will continue to work, and maybe in future we will have some new technical ideas and creations, because the photography during during the life of photography saw a lot of new interesting creations, new interesting investigations that made work of photographers better and more easier. That's why I will wait for it, and I think that we don't have any threats from video colleagues and from multimedia works.
Another question is the following. How do you maintain a balance between artistic freedom and journalistic integrity when photographing the events that can be misinterpreted or manipulated?
Thank you. A very good question. I think that all the photographers who work in the media, they have such a question. Sometimes even they have such a dilemma, because they, on the one hand, they do their everyday work for the media, and each media has its own politics, its own position, some code of what is interesting for them, what they publish. And on the other hand, each photographer as an author, he or she, the photographer wants to stay an artist, because the photography is art. Even if we do reportages about news, about some fire, for example, or some breaking news, or some opening of the new schools or plants, of course we do reportage pictures, but even a reportage picture can be done in the artistic way, and it can show us the photographer's level. It can show us some fresh ideas, some fresh look at the situation. I think it really is difficult to work as a photojournalist and to do it in such an artistic way. But I know a lot of examples, and I think that a good photographer is good because he can have such a balance between what his media wants from him, as what he wants to show, and how he can do it. And sorry, the second part of the question, I forgot it.
Just a second. The second part of the question was about the misinterpretation and manipulation. For example, I think that our colleague means that you can photograph something under one angle or under another.
Yes, the photography is good because pictures can tell us a lot. But on the other hand, we can interpret these pictures on the different ways. And especially we have this question when because as we live in the digital society, the information spreads very quickly, and our pictures can also spread very quickly, and we can't control where the people use it, how they use it, and what they want to explain with our pictures. But I think that the most important is that each photographer, when he does a picture or a reportage or a photo story, he should, for himself, to decide and to have a clear idea of what he wants to tell the world with his work.
Thank you so much. Next question is super practical. So while we live in the time of high price on everything and on equipment as well, can a photographer work with the phone instead of a camera?
A lot of our colleagues who work in the Russian media and in our media use mobile phones very, very often in their work, because there are a lot of situations, events, places and actions when it's easier to do a picture with the phone. And modern mobile phones, they give us the opportunity to do pictures of the very good quality. So we even publish pictures made by mobile phones for the exhibitions in a very and they look very good. We don't have problems with quality. So yes, I think it's normally when we use mobile phones for taking pictures, but there are some situations when it's not enough to have only phones. For example, first of all, when we are shooting sports, because when we need to take pictures of some football matches, of some hockey matches, or some other actions, we need to have special lens, we need to have camera, because our mobile phones are not, we can't replace the cameras totally by them. But if we are speaking about daily life reportages, about some breaking news, even about some public events like press conferences, yes, it's normally when we do pictures by mobile phones.
Thank you so much. We have some other questions, but we don't have time. So we will try to answer to you, dear participants, by email. I'd like to thank you all for being today with us. I'd like to thank Ekaterina first, and I would like to thank our dear co-organizer from Yuna OIG. And I hope that this will not be our last workshop, and we will meet very soon to discuss some other topics. Dear participants, you will receive the electronic certificates to your email stating that you participated and listened to us in this masterclass, and have a good day. Thank you so much. Goodbye.